inch is what it looks like, at least right now, as it moves in from west to east, and looks like that's going to be some strong wind gusts moving through Greenwood and then eventually moving eastward. It's kind of fragmented though, so it's not all together, but there is the warning that's in effect. It's for Crawford, Sebastian, Franklin, and LaFleur County. So I want to get to some of the stronger storms and show you where this is located. Now keep in mind, we still have a lot of wind and rain that's ongoing in Bentonville and Fayetteville, but as we get south into the Fort Smith area, you can see some of these stronger storms just south of town. Boy, that's a nasty cell there near Greenwood. Expect gusty winds, perhaps some small hail with this as it makes its way through the area. Those storms continue to move from northwest to southeast, right along 10, out towards Hackett, 71 south, showers and storms still here, moving southeast. And then as we move back to the west, you can see these storms in LaFleur County, which are also severe. These are near Panama, moving east-southeast. Again, the big takeaway, guys, with this whole system is wind damage. Boom, new warning came up just now. Okay, so now we got warnings. Let's zoom out a little bit more. We have warnings now for Johnson, for Logan, for Scott County, as well as Franklin, Sebastian, Crawford, and LaFleur. Again, this is all wind damage that we're dealing with these storms that are tracking from west to east, moving out across the area. Those storms will continue through the evening hours. This new severe thunderstorm warning is going to go until 11:45 for Logan and Johnson County. So that's the one they just added here across the River Valley East. And that's in anticipation of this stuff that's out west. So we got some time. They issued the warning, but we have a lot of time before it actually makes its way in. So let's focus in on the River Valley and some of these stronger wind gusts, and maybe we'll zero it down to the velocity and show you the wind speeds inside the storms too. Look at these storms near Dean Springs and Alma, moving towards Mulberry, Lavaca, Van Buren, and Fort Smith. A loud evening underway here for us, just southwest of Mulberry. And then velocity images also show us the wind speed. So you can see that outflow that moved through. That was that first green line right there. And then following that, just behind that, we have winds that are gusting right underneath some of those stronger storms. So we'll get those stronger wind gusts as it moves through. And then if I back out of this a little bit, you can see some of those wind gusts as they move through Greenwood. Look at that. That's a lot stronger here in Sebastian County. And that line's interesting, isn't it? Most of this stuff is moving from west to east, but this outflow is really racing almost due south with a lot of strong wind gusts out around Pensacola. That's probably what we just saw a moment ago out there on the Pensacola ICAM. That wind gust line is right here running from Greenwood back down to the southwest and then getting out towards Poto. I want to look at this real quick in the Poto area just west of town right in here. Let's see what this looks like right here. We do have some stronger winds that are out towards Kavanaugh that are about to move through really in any second now. Those storms are going to continue making their way into the area from west to east and moving across parts of the River Valley. You can see them here around Pensacola and Panama moving through, and also in Fort Smith. Let's look at Fort Smith a little closer and really get it on some street level mapping from 540 to the east and out towards Barling. Let's see what we got here. We got 74th Street. You've got Old Greenwood Road and then Highway 271. So to kind of get an idea of where this is moving through now, you've got Rogers Avenue moving east. Here's Meandering Way. So moving south on 74th Street, you've got Sam's Club here, and then you've got the interchange at 540, and you've got Central Mall. Old Greenwood Road out towards Creekmore Park is going to be out in this area. The strongest is out there on the southeast part of town now, out around 255 and 0 Street. So it's out there by the Ream plant. And then on Phoenix Avenue, you have some strong showers and storms that are moving from north to south out around Jenny Lind. Now, this is going to be some of the stronger storms underneath the darker reflectivity, the bright reds and all those colors. You're going to have some of the stronger storms dropping a lot of wind, but it's that main outflow, that one that's running south through Greenwood, that I really feel like probably has the best chance of wind damage. And one of the reasons for that, if we look a little bit closer, you can see that little green line. Let's see if we can show you. See the green line moving north to south? So that's the outflow boundary. That green line is actually attached to the thunderstorms that are moving through Greenwood. So it's right along the outflow. And typically when it's right along the outflow, you're going to be looking at some of those showers and storms catching up with it and probably causing a little bit more extensive wind damage as it moves through from Greenwood out through Dayton. You can see the line. Look at that around Midland. Goodness. So we're going to probably have some damaging winds here around Midland and then Mansfield as it moves through. Looks like it's just dropping due south. I think we have a live look out towards Van Buren to give you an update on what that looks like. There you go. So this is going to be in the Van Buren area. Highway 59, yeah, so you can see what's going on here in Van Buren in Crawford County. That's, I believe, out towards let's see if we get some locations on this one. Oh, look at that lightning strike that's out there in the distance. Yeah, so we're coming down 59 out towards the Walmart there on the left, and then you're headed towards I-40, which is going to be front and center here in just a second. So it's going to be moving through really, really quick here in the next few minutes. And I think that the Van Buren area may have seen the worst of it already. Really, it's out towards Greenwood where some of the stronger storms are located. And that's really where that lightning strike was just a moment ago that you saw off camera in central Sebastian County as those storms drop south. But a lot of wind and rain. And the great thing about these Drive 5s is looking a little bit closer at wind damage, and I really don't see a whole lot of wind damage that's out there. So on the road surfaces, at least, it doesn't look like there's much in the way of wind that's taking place. But hopefully, as we go through the next couple of hours, things eventually start to wind down. But as of right now, you can see there's still some wind gusts that are out there as we go underneath that I-40 overpass and then move south on 59 towards the out towards the south side of Van Buren eventually. Overall, looks like a lot of heavy rainfall, doesn't it? All right, so let me step off camera real quick, too. I'm going to take you to a couple other images just to kind of get an idea, and then we're going to take you back to Greenwood. I'm also looking off camera at the National Weather Service, which is reporting P to dime-size hail in Arcoma out on the west side of town. We've also got pea-size hail in Spiro. So as it stands now, the hail hasn't been all that impressive with some of these stronger storms. This is going to be Pensacola, and I'll take you from Pensacola. We'll go out towards, well, look at that cloud-to-ground lightning strike. That thing lasted like 3 seconds. So we'll go back to our Mercy iCam here, and doesn't look that impressive here in our Mercy iCam, but I suppose if you look really close, you can see some of those sheets of rain that are on some of the concrete and the asphalt. And if you look really close, you can almost see some of that rainfall that's moving across the front of the camera. Not a lot of folks out there this evening, but a lot of lightning that's out there. And those lightning strikes probably continue for you for at least another hour or so before things finally let up and get a little bit more chill. I think that the lightning as well as some of the gusty winds are probably the bigger story out of all this. Northwest Arkansas, our Springdale camera, that's looking west-northwestward, and that one is also looking like looks like most of the heavy rain has started to wind down on that. And then our Fayetteville Chamber of Commerce cam also showing some heavy rainfall that's out there. Most of it has finally moved on out of the region. I'm going to go over to Analyst real quick and give you guys an idea of what this looks like on another computer here. So let me zoom out. This is a wide view of what's going on. In fact, I'm gonna let's see here if I can get this going for you. Let's zoom in on Sebastian County and Greenwood. You can see a larger cell here around Poto, and then you have that large area that's moving through Greenwood. What you can't see here, and I'll recalibrate this real quick to give you an idea, but you can see that darker red color here indicating that big punch of wind. I think the wind damage risk is pretty high here southwest of Greenwood. And then what's interesting is you also have a storm that's moving in from the southwest. So if we zoom out, look how they're kind of crashing together, almost zipping on up here, like a zipper here from Greenwood out towards Poto. It's going to be interesting to see when these things come together here around Hartford, how this plays out. You can certainly see it on the radar as it moves through. Moves back out again. As those reds and greens come a little bit closer together, we'll have to watch and see if anything materializes out of that. Sometimes these intersections of the wind, especially outflows, can oftentimes cause us a few problems and cause a little bit of spinning. It looks like winds in Fort Smith are right now gusting to about 37 miles per hour. So that's the overall view of the storms. Let's take a look at where the hail is located. I don't see much hail at all, guys. Not really. I mean, really, there might be a little bit around Poto out on the north side of town. Even that hail size is not that great. That would be around Williams Lane, northeast Poto, around Riverbend. And it looks like County Road 820th looks like it may have a little bit of hail, and maybe the hail's ticking up just a bit. But overall, it's not a whole lot. It's kind of right there at where 112 and 59 meet as you come in from Cameron on the northwest side of town. I bet you it's really loud though, huh? You get that heavy wind and rain that's out there. You can also see this outflow boundary. It's right here. It's that dark blue color, and that's the one that's leading into those storms moving in towards Hartford. So that's what I'm a little bit concerned about there to see what happens. The velocity images really don't show anything around Charleston. See how it's kind of got a bend there? So we look at that for rotation. Don't see anything there. Really all I'm seeing is damaging wind stretching from Hartford up through the Charleston area. As far as rotation goes, if I take a look at it and try to isolate it, there's just not much that's out there in the way of spinning storms. Now, that's not a bad thing. but it does give us an idea of what's going to happen here over the next hour as these storms really transition to more of that wind event. Now look at this bow. So this is around Waldron and Mena, and then hitting play on this, you can see this thing really racing northeast. And what's kind of interesting about this, it just kind of caught my attention, look at the northeastern side of this. See a little spin right there out towards Tallahena and Heavener, right in there. That's the northern side of a little bow, and we call these bookend vortices, and occasionally they can start to rotate. Now this one doesn't look like it's rotating. Let's see here. Doesn't look like it is right now. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out with that outflow boundary, again, like I mentioned, around Hartford, because this is all very strong winds that are gusting from west to east. What's interesting is, though, and I'll head back to the wall and kind of show you what this looks like and what we're talking about here with this, is that as that bow moved east, see how it kind of looks like it's on fire and it's just kind of throwing stuff back, right? So the velocities or the intensity of the storm, the red colors, they've really fallen off, haven't they? So you have some really strong storms on the leading edge, and then you have kind of a trailing type of stratiform rain out behind it, which is just kind of rainy and drizzly. But that line is pushing eastward, and as that clears us, it stabilizes the atmosphere behind us. So we're going to be a lot more stable in Tallahena and in Haskell and also in Latimer County. Fort Smith, I know it's loud. Hey, and by the way, if you have any damage reports, just grab your phone and open up the 5 News app if you feel safe to do so, and you can use the Near Me feature on there, and then that Near Me feature should give you a way to upload really quick to show you what's going on out where you live, and it'll give us an idea of what's taking place too. To the north, here's the outflow boundary. That's what I'm still watching here and watching off camera, although I think it would be Monroe and Hartford are the 2 areas that I'm watching most here in about the next few minutes. Winds in Poteau, and this is what's interesting, winds in Poteau are actually out of the northeast now, and that has to do with that spin there on that north side of the bow, that bookend vortice looking thing that we were talking about earlier. So we'll keep an eye on that little guy there and see what happens with this as it moves on through. That's going to be moving through the area and eventually be causing some strong winds through Poteau and probably through Greenwood. One of the cool things, though, is that since the outflow has essentially outran the storms from Ozark to Paris, now it's still teamed up here south Sebastian County. So this is probably still, well, it is still the strongest wind gust and wind damage potential here. But that outflow boundary is moving through Paris and Scranton and eventually Clarksville. So I think these, with time, will probably weaken, similar to how some of the storms did in northwest Arkansas earlier. By the way, the winds are out of the north in Siloam Springs, northeast, temperature down to 55. So it's getting quite a bit cooler. Now, looking to the south, though, in Greenwood, where I mentioned some of those stronger winds are, we are getting that wind and that outflow boundary collision here, where you're getting winds moving away from the radar near Hartford, and then winds moving towards the radar just southwest of Hartford in this area. Let's go back a few frames here. You can see the 2 merging, can't you? So that's going to be something to watch here. Let me look here and see. National Weather Service is going to go ahead and continue that warning until 11:15 for Franklin, Crawford, and Sebastian County. I'm also looking at, let's see here. Let me check this out again. They've got the watch going till 2 a.m. I've also got a report from the Storm Prediction Center that I'm reading too with this weather watch. They're also saying that sporadic severe hail and wind events remain possible. So they're still looking at this area for wind damage. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen here with these 2 intersecting storms. I think at a minimum, you're going to get a lot of wind out of this regardless in Hartford and Bates and Monroe and southwest Sebastian County. That's out there by the Gap and Sugarloaf Lake is where these 2 are merging in southwest Sebastian County. So this is going to be the area to really keep a close eye on. Now, I know it's loud in Greenwood. Let's check for hail. Well, hail's still up in Poteau a little bit, isn't it? It's not a lot, but there is some small hail that's falling, and there's some small hail around Monroe too. Let's see, back this up and go forward right in there, out towards Hartford. Another look at where the hail is located. And of course, base velocity showing us the wind speeds here. Let's play this and you can see, let me zoom out. Sorry if you got motion sick on that one. You can see how those 2 continue to zip on up from the northwest to the southeast. So I still think we're looking at a wind damage risk here. And let's see here. Okay, we're going to check in with another Drive 5. Real quick, guys, look at this here. Well, before we check in on the Drive 5, let me just show you what I'm looking at here, and then we'll look at what Drive 5 looks like on 540 coming into Fort Smith. Look at this little, here we are, right here. Look at this little bend in the red color. See that? That's right there. It's going to be something to watch as it moves south of Poto here. Again, that's that intersection point, and the reason I'm watching that close is it can increase the low-level spin and occasionally can produce some brief tornadoes. Now, it's a weak rotation, but there is something there to keep an eye on. All right, so let's check out Drive 5 real quick. This is in the was this 540, right? Betty didn't know his mic was hot. It's a good thing it wasn't bad music. This is on 540. You can see the rainfall that's out there right now with the severe thunderstorm warning still going for the Fort Smith area. Those storms in Fort Smith have weakened considerably compared to where they were earlier, but we are still under that warning in Fort Smith well, it's actually the east side of Fort Smith that's under the warning. And you can certainly see all that lightning that's out there, those gusty winds, and of course, those winds have gusted at times. I think the peak gust I saw was over 40. I'm going to check that for you right now, though, and give you an idea of what this stuff looks like as it starts to move through in the Fort Smith area. But Drive 5 certainly showing us some of the rain, not quite as heavy. And this was also, look out in the distance. It's kind of wild, isn't it, at night? You can see those low clouds and the lightning kind of illuminates everything. Fort Smith, the highest gust I've got is 48. So we haven't had anything over 48, and that came in at 1029 was that report. The Weather Service also issuing some wind advisories for northeast Oklahoma with that line that's, or with the front that's moving through, causing some fairly strong wind gusts moving across the area. All right, so let's take you back over to, let's do hand tracking for a second, and then we can check in with some other cameras across the region. These storms will move all across the area here for about the next hour. They're actually moving it really, really quick, though, and hopefully we'll be moving out of the area here shortly and should be giving us a much better shot of getting some clearing tomorrow, and hopefully we'll get some better weather by the afternoon. Now, it looks like northwest Arkansas is in the clear. I know it's still raining around Beaver Lake, and really for Fayetteville, we're also getting some of those showers that are out there. But looking into eastern Benton County, you can see the rainfall that's out there. Out around Rogers, not looking that rainy at the moment. As you zoom in for a closer look, you can see some of those showers starting to leave our area now from 112 eastward. Some of those storms tracking towards the east, and will eventually be moving out of this region coming up here in the next couple of hours or so. And it'll be nice to eventually get some high pressure moving in with some sunshine and some much better weather here for us as we head into the next couple of days, but it's going to take a while before we get there. All right, so here's what's going on now with the storms stretching from Newton County back to the southwest, and we'll get you into southwest Sebastian County. These storms in Sebastian County are still the ones to watch. I think this is still the game one here, the biggest one that's out there. And the only reason is you've got that boundary hooked up with the bow. So let's see what we've got with the wind. And the wind here, let's see here. There it is moving south. Oh boy, it looks like the outflow is going to take over that southern one, doesn't it? See the red color is kind of chewing up the green. So it'll be interesting to see, but I think overall, right now at least, it looks like the outflow is going to win, and we probably won't get any rotation out of this. But having said that, if we look a little closer right in here, look at this. There's some really strong winds here southeast of Poto, showing some of those strong winds east of Howe and southwest of Trestle Ford. Just south of 83 is really where some of the stronger winds are located. And that's going to be diving south too. So we have those strong winds here, and we also have some of those green colors indicating winds towards the radar and then winds coming away. Think of like the red shift, like outer space, things move away in red. So these are moving away from the radar, green's moving towards, but the intensity of the red is much greater than the intensity of some of the greens. So the damaging wind risk is probably highest here south of Poto, near Howe, and then out through Hartford, Mansfield, and eventually Dayton, right along 96, where some of that's moving through. So here's another wide view of these storms moving across the area. Again, that's looking at the wind speeds, and we'll put this in motion real quick here for you. You can see how these things have evolved. The great thing about velocity is it shows us the wind, it shows us the direction, and it shows us the intensity of the wind, so we can get an idea of what's happening here. And it looks as if the intensity is coming down just a little bit on that storm. We also have a storm in Pope County, which is severe. And of course, we have those storms that are moving across Scott County. Now, the Scott County storm was the one that moved across LeFlore County earlier. And It doesn't look like it's that impressive at all. Matter of fact, you can see it's becoming a little bit more broken here as it moves east. Now, we're still going to have those winds. We'll have some gusty winds along that as it moves across the area, but I think overall, other than winds to about 45, maybe a couple tree limbs down, that one really doesn't look like it's going to be that big of a deal. Moving to the north, though, we're still looking at that warning that's out. Let me look off camera here and see what's going on with this storm. This warning is going to go, and the watch goes until, let's see, they canceled one of the warnings from earlier, and they're going to let this one continue to ride. I've got a couple of these warnings that are in effect here. This one goes until, let's see, moving through 10:48, 11:15. So we've got about 15 minutes left on that warning. I think what they may do with this is probably, well, actually the Weather Service in Little Rock's already issued this warning downstream from it. So hopefully the trend continues with the outflow kind of outpacing some of these storms. And if that continues to happen, you can see it moving through right there. The storms behind the outflow, what's essentially happening is the outflow is just kind of kicking the feet out from underneath the storms. And so these storms get really, really excited and really get going. And then the outflow comes through and says, no, no more. And so that's what's happening with some of these storms is the outflow is really kind of taking the wind out of them, literally and figuratively. And because of that, the storms are showing that weakening trend. It's not to say we won't see severe weather. We know we've already seen severe weather, especially in places like northwest Arkansas, where we had some limbs down and we had some very strong wind gusts out around Drake Field. And even in parts of the River Valley, we've seen some of those stronger winds drop south. As it stands now, though, not much more in the way of rain for Fayetteville. The back edge could clip us with a little bit of light rain coming up. And then moving back down to the south, we're looking at those storms moving into Fort Smith. And again, that boundary, there it is, outrunning it. It's actually started that new storm just south of Paris. Right there, that's caused by the boundary that moved through. See the little green moving through? So as that continues to happen, we'll still see some intense storms as they race through the area, but really feel like here in about the next 45 minutes, most of this, man, it's going to be gone. It's moving really, really quick. So hopefully things start to wind down here coming up shortly across the area. Another wide view shows us the whole storm system. Northwest Arkansas, for the most part, is in the clear. In the River Valley, well, not so much just yet, but hopefully this system starts to wind down, or that storm cell that's out there around Poto kind of becomes a little bit more chill. Let me take a look at the hail within the storm and see how this is trending. And it looks like the trend is actually moving down, and I'll get you that on Storm Analyzer coming up here in a second. And that's the strongest one still. The one in Dover is not that impressive. In Pope County, it's got about 1 inch hail on it. And then the storm that moved through Poto looks like it's dropped most of its hail earlier. So again, from north to south, you can see the storms moving through. And then another wide view of the area gives us an idea of how this is all playing out in real time with the radar. And it looks like that's a new sweep that's coming through. So let's take a close look at this again. And then I'll step off camera real quick, turn on Storm Analyst, and then give you a look at what's going on there. So Greenwood, I know it's really loud. We've got Washburn, Boonville, all in line for these storms. They're going to be loud regardless, and they're going to have wind regardless, but I think the intensity has come down, and that's definitely a good thing for us, and hopefully that intensity continues to trend downward, and if that happens, it's going to be hopefully a lot better and moving through a lot faster here in just the next little bit. So I'm really excited to see that these storms are showing that weakening trend, and I hope that continues, because that's certainly not how it looked, quite frankly, earlier this afternoon when it looked like a pretty widespread damaging wind event. Let's see here. Let's see here. Weather Service says merging outflows over southwest Sebastian County might force a stronger updraft and an area of rotation. That's not a shocker. We've been watching that for the last 15 minutes. So I think that we're still watching this area real close. The Weather Service is too. I just don't see it happening right now. Maybe if let's try to recalibrate this. It's not, it would be right in here, should it happen. And I don't see it happening. Cawthron maybe, let's see, where does that line up? That's kind of the intersection of those two storms. There could be a pocket of rotation that forms there. Let me look at this again real close. You can see how the two are combined, moving. Let me turn these yellow boxes off, the warnings, that'll give you a better view of it. So see how the greens and the reds are coming together here? What I'm just not seeing is anything really tightened up really good, though. So for a tornado to form, we've actually had these outflow boundaries do this. These outflow boundaries, not only do they kick the feet out from the thunderstorms, but they do that by pushing wind out in a certain direction. So if they're pushing out that direction, and then you got another storm coming this direction, then all of a sudden you've got a lot of low-level wind shear, and that's how these tornadoes can develop really quick on these outflow boundaries. I left the cursor right where it would be, but I don't see anything right now that indicates that it's going to do anything. Something to watch, though. You never know how these boundaries are going to interact. It's lots of wind behind it. That's the orange color there. And then, of course, you've got those two kind of smashing together. If we were to get a brief tornado, though, it'd be right there. It'd be northwest of Waldron and southeast of Hartford. As long as that outflow boundary continues to outpace this line that's moving east, we'll be in good shape. But that's the area to watch. So I'm keeping an eye on that. Still off camera, and it's kind of encouraging to see the Weather Service is also watching it, too. So we both are kind of looking at the same thing and monitoring the trends. It would be right around Cawthorn. Is there any rotation there at all? There's actually a little bit, just northwest of Hahn. It's not much, but there's a little bit that's there. All right, so back out across the region, I'm going to turn on, this is what we use to really measure the intensity of the storms. So if I loop this, and you can see how the storm has intensified and then weakened. It was really strong over Poteau. It dropped a lot of hail. Now it's over Hartford. It's weakened a little bit between Poteau and Hartford, and then it kind of flared back up. So this is a look at how much water's in the storm. And water includes hail, so anything frozen. And this is a trend. So what I'll do off camera a lot of times, especially when we're not on TV, is look at this stuff and see how it's trending. So is it trending up or down, or is it staying the same? Well, that one it's about staying the same. I mean, it definitely trended down in Fort Smith. There's hardly anything now. And I guess if you look at a wider view of this, you can kind of see a little bit of a downward trend in the last scan. Let's see. Yeah, it is trending down. This is over Hartford, so this is the scan before it. And I'll back it up just a little bit. There's a little bit of yellow and orange pixels there, and then back it up a little more. Now they're a little brighter. So I think overall it has trended down, but it's still something to keep a watchful eye on. Right through here where that little intersection is of those two cells, especially right there. Out around Hahn on, what's that going to be, I guess, Highway 28, which running east out towards the Cawthorn area. So, all right, we've got Drive 5 on Highway 71 headed to Greenwood. So this should be a fun one to watch. So we're looking out there to Greenwood, right towards the middle of that strong storm on 71. We're actually looking at where that boundary was and where those two are kind of coming together there. So those storms are going to be moving across central Sebastian County and then moving into parts of Logan County with time, and then making their way eventually into, let's see here, central parts of Logan and eventually Scott. Now this is again from Sebastian County looking south, and you can see those thunderstorms that continue to move to the east. And what's interesting too is storm spotting at night is tough because you can't see anything. And so a lot of times our storm spotters, which are out in the River Valley and Northwest Arkansas for that matter, they'll use the lightning strikes to get a visual on them and see what's going on. Now, another rule of thumb here is if you ever see what looks like blue lightning strikes on the ground, lightning strikes they ain't. No, those are actually going to be power flashes, and we haven't seen any of those tonight, but that's another rule of thumb at nighttime to follow these lightning strikes. If you ever see anything blue down on the ground, that usually means that the wind is causing some extensive damage and blowing up some transformers. We haven't seen that today, but thought it would be interesting to pass along as you're seeing these night shots of the lightning that's lighting up the sky there in South Sebastian County. And see, trying to get a feel for where about he's located. I know he's on 71 South. Not quite to Greenwood yet, kind of right there at that interchange where the new interstate came in. So we're going to watch that, and you can see all the lightning on the right side of the screen, which is going to be those storms in the southwest part of Sebastian County. So those will continue moving on through, and lots of lightning and lots of storms here in central and south Sebastian County. We'll go back to the radar real quick, and just for planning purposes in the control room, at about 11:15, we'll send you back to programming, go back to monitor mode here in the Weather Center. They'll likely cancel some of these warnings here coming up, I think, with the, let's see here, with the way things have been trending down through the evening, but we still have Still have some gusty winds around Waldron, and I'm showing it's a little bit towards Paris too. For northwest Arkansas, though, better and better. The rain continues to move out from west to east, and then in the River Valley, you got these storms north of Russellville, lots in Logan County. We still got that storm that's tracking across the southern part of Sebastian County here, from Greenwood out to Mansfield. The strongest part of that storm is right there, out around Mansfield. Look at the lightning strikes. Last 5 minutes, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So quite a few of them there in southern Sebastian County. Of course, kind of just saw a lot of them there on the iCam just a second ago, or the Drive 5. We've also got these storms near Paris and Boonville. And I want to look at you guys in Logan County real briefly here and kind of show you where some of this hail is located. Here's another look at Paris and Boonville, and a closer look here. There's Charleston. I'm looking off camera here and seeing some hail that's located here in Paris along 22 on the west side of town. So right around here is where we're getting some of that hail, around Carbon City. There's a lightning strike that just populated here on the map. There's 109 running up towards the north. Heavy showers on 288 and moving right up towards, let's see if we can get Old Military Road. You've got Short Mountain Road, Kern Lane, Hogeye Bend, and North 5th Street there, just north of Paris. So some heavy showers and storms that are moving here, and those will continue to move through with some gusty winds and some lightning. Let me take you to velocity here, and let's look at these wind speeds, see what they're doing. Let's see. Yeah, so it's moving from northwest to southeast. I was looking at that real quick, but I don't think that's anything. Let's check it again here. And we're looking southwest of Paris. We've got a lot of winds going on here. In fact, it looks like those are intensifying, probably along that boundary in Logan County. As the boundary moved through, it kind of blew up a little more storms. So I think that warning rides for Logan County. I don't think they're going to drop that one at all. The intensities come up on those storms in Logan County. Again, those are going to pull northeast. By the way, Clarksville, we've got a nasty storm that's moving through. Let me see here. Let me zoom into Clarksville here. You can see some of these storms that are tracking from south to north, just east of Coal Hill and northwest of Knoxville, moving through Clarksville and out towards Hinkle, and then moving north around 123. These will move east. In fact, what's great about this is because we're having these storms now, it should weaken, it should cause a little less instability for the next round, which is just to the west that's set to move through. For Fort Smith, hey guys, guess what? We're in the clear now too. So we had that strong storm earlier, and as it stands now, Fort Smith is in the clear, moving from west to east. So looking good in Fort Smith and Alma and Van Buren. Still a little rough and tumble in Greenwood, where you've got a pretty nasty storm that's out there. Mansfield, boy, it's still going. And then Boonville and Paris, showers and storms intensifying somewhat with that line that's moving through. And we'll continue to track towards I think these are moving more towards the northeast, aren't they? Let's see here. They're moving more east-southeast. Initially, when they first started, they were pulling northeast like this, and then when the boundary caught up with it, it forced it back down to the south. So I think that southward movement is probably going to be really the big trend with all this. Zoom out a little bit more here. You can see that line moving east, and boy, this thing's racing, isn't it? I mean, we're out of Fort Smith already. It's out of northwest Arkansas. It's out of Poto now. Just a lot of rainfall and some lightning. It's almost out of Greenwood. Still pretty loud there for you guys. And then in central Logan County, it's still intensifying here. Scott County, we've got that line moving to Waldron. The warning's still out there for Waldron and for Scott County. But really, within the next 30 minutes or so, most of this is going to be out of the area, and we'll be enjoying a lot of a nice, calm evening compared to what we've been dealing with here over the last hour or so. I'm going to look at Logan County here wide real quick. New cells developing south of Russellville. That's moving out towards Little Rock, though, so it's not going to be too much of a big issue for us. Okay, so let's go back to Storm Analyst real quick and look at this one more time and get another feel for how this is looking. I want to look at the Logan County storm again real quick. First, I'm going to check Hartford for any rotation where those two merged. And doesn't look like there's anything. You can see it's still zipping kind of up around Waldron. No big issue there with that. And then we look at Logan County. We've got Boonville and Paris. Let's look at this for hail first. A little bit, not a whole lot. Not anything in the way of rotation here. And then we'll look at the wind speeds on this. Let's use this one. There's two different types of velocity we use. One subtracts the forward motion, so you just see the wind that's moving. You don't get the storm motion at all. That's called storm relative. The one that shows all the motion is base velocity. So we'll toggle back and forth. This is going to be the one that shows the motion of the storms minus the forward speed, so it really isolates where the strongest winds are. It looks like it's still really windy west of Waldron, though. Still some strong wind gusts here. I think it's more loud than anything else from Paris to Boonville, though I don't doubt you'll get a few gusts approaching 50 and probably some down limbs and power lines. Well, hopefully not power lines, but certainly down tree limbs from Paris to Boonville. And then, of course, out towards Clarksville, too. These showers are going to be moving into the area and hopefully moving out sooner than later with some of these stronger storms that are out there this evening. One more quick look at the big picture view here. Shows the showers and storms tracking from the northwest to the southeast and eventually migrating and moving on out of the area. And about the next 30 minutes to an hour, they'll be long gone, but you can certainly see them starting to move east. Still some heavy wind and rain around Paris and Boonville. Greenwood finally coming to a close. Mansfield, I know it's still loud, but it'll start winding down soon. And then when you move through the Hopper Tunnel, north and south, things are clearing out. And some of that rainfall is actually moving out of Bentonville, too. Madison County, we have the rain in Huntsville. We've got that rain in Ozark, and we've got those thunderstorms. Really, I think the strongest storm at the moment is going to be the one in Logan County, and even that one has about pea-sized hail and some occasional gusts that are going to be somewhere around 45, maybe 50 miles an hour. So that's where we are now. We're going to keep a close eye on all this stuff as it continues to make its way through the entire area. We'll be back on with you as warranted through the rest of the evening and overnight hours. We'll keep a close eye on you guys in Paris and Boonville. Right now it's really loud, but there's no rotation with any of that. And we'll continue to watch Scott County out around Waldron, west of town, where we also have some gusty winds. You've been watching extended coverage here on 5 News as we track severe weather season 2021 here in early April. Another round moving through. It won't be our last. We've still got a lot of severe weather season to go. We'll be with you throughout the overnight and, of course, throughout the weekend as those cool temperatures move in. And we'll be talking more about those showers that are headed our way next Wednesday in our coming newscast starting tomorrow morning, bright and early at 5 a.m. I'll be here with you through the overnight, keeping a close eye on it. If anything else turns severe, we'll let you know, but expect things to really start trending down even more in about the next 30 minutes to an hour. Keep it here. We'll keep you posted.
You smell like fish.
Sorry.
I was talking to Jamie.
When we